about a year and a half. The company has been open to the public for about 3 years.
Oh yeah, awesome. Yeah, hey, welcome back everybody to the Birdies and Bourbon Show. We're excited to have Brandon from Still Austin Whiskey Company on with us today. Thanks so much for sharing a pour with us. We really appreciate it. I did sneak a little sip. I hadn't prior to today.
Usually on these podcasts, it takes a little bit to get to the sipping part, but I'm proud of you guys. You're just going for it.
Oh, I figured
I'll join you.
Yeah, why should we wait? So, I'm excited to hear about it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks for taking some time and spending with us. So I'll tell you, I posted a few things on Instagram, and everybody that's responded has said, "Get me a bottle," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm in Georgia." So it's just as easy for you to get it as it is me. And I was perusing around on your website. It looks like Drizzly's on there, probably Bourboner, et cetera. So you get some multiple e-commerce sites that you can pick it up if you're outside of the state of Texas.
We're only actually distributed in the state of Texas, so the Drizzlies of the world don't have our product. But what we do have is a shipping service that's actually based out of California. And so if you go on our website and you just click "I'm outside of Texas," it'll take you right there, and you can order it and have it shipped to you. Service is about 30 states here in the U.S. So
yeah,
most of the people watching should be able to order through that.
Yeah, Chad, there you go, bud. There's your bottle of Still Austin. So let's kind of get into this thing. So I think you're maybe 2015. You guys kind of got fired up.
Yeah, that's right. We've been actually in operation since 2015. We've been open to the public for the last 3 years, since we could actually run our stills legally. We're the only distillery here actually in the city of Austin that's operating right now within the city limits. So it took us a little while because of city regulations to actually get up and running here in the city. So that's kind of the difference between when we actually started and when we started distilling and was actually open to the public. But the product that we're tasting right now is brand new to us. It just came out about three and a half months ago or so. And this is our new flagship, blow the doors down. This is it. As you guys are familiar with, whiskey is a patience game. So we wanted to wait until it was ready. Luckily here in Texas, because of the climate here, the bourbon is actually developing complexity quite a bit more quickly than it does in most other climates around the country. So this is all 2+ year old barrels blended together, but it tastes older.
Yeah, for sure. So I was, I was doing a little bit of research, kind of checking you guys out, mash bill, et cetera. And, you got a lot of comments. So the age statement on the bottle is at least 2 years, right? To your point. It definitely does. It's blended together nicely from a sense that it tastes like it could easily be, 4 to 6 years or even more. I mean, it's a lot of complexities in there. It's not overly sweet. Definitely on the nose, I'm kind of getting that. And one of the reasons I went ahead and poured, I had a sip and then I wanted to kind of let it open up a little bit, given that it's, as stated, as a 2 year plus, right, to kind of see what's happening. And this thing has really gone from kind of that young sweet corn into, just over 5 or 10 minutes. I'm already starting to get kind of that, cornbread. I'm getting some rye in there, oddly. It's kind of some rye spice in there.
It's a high rye bourbon, so 25% rye is the mash bill, 5% malted barley, and the rest is corn. It's white corn, which is a little bit different than a lot of bourbons you'll get. Most bourbon is made with yellow corn. We source 100% of our grains from here in Texas, and yellow corn's not really grown here. So we deal with the white corn that's here. We feel like it's distinctive for the state in the flavor profile it has. The corn kernels themselves are actually larger and higher in sugar content. So when we actually do the fermentation, we yield a little bit more alcohol from that, and the flavor is noticeably different. It's the same type of corn that you find in a lot of Tex-Mex food, like our tortillas and tortillas, things like that. So we feel like it's really representative of the region here.
Yeah, I mean, you're all ingredients, right? It's kind of like distill local. I mean, everything you're using is Texas grown product, right?
Yeah, and so that's a big part of the quality here is well, first of all, I think the quality of the grain we're sourcing, we're only bringing in Texas grains from the best farmers here in Texas. We distill everything right on site. So we start actually from the grain. We have silos on site. We mill to cook. We cook, we distill, we barrel, everything right there at the distillery here. So it's a full grain to glass operation for us. And then the barrels mature. Actually, we have some warehouses out in the middle of nowhere between here and San Antonio that the barrels get shipped out there. They go and they sit there and we don't touch them for a couple of years until we do what's called slow water reduction. You might have encountered that in some of the literature you're reading about us.
Yep.
We actually reduce the proof in barrel until it's nearly bottle proof. So it's a not a lot of distilleries do it, so people haven't heard of it necessarily. But almost every distillery will pull out at barrel proof, so that's usually around 120 or so, and then you just add water until it gets to bottle proof. You blend it, proof it down, bottle it. What we wanted to do was actually have it at nearly at bottle proof when it comes out of the barrel, so we don't have to add any more water to it. And so we gradually step down the proof in the barrel for about 6 months ahead of bottling, which actually creates more complex flavors in there at different proofs in the barrel. It's pulling out different flavors from the barrel itself, and it creates a lot of the complexity you taste in the product. And that's a big reason why. I mean, I mentioned the Texas weather earlier with it developing complexity faster, but it's the slow water reduction that also is a big component of what makes this special.
Yeah, sure. And is it, did I read that you're moving it to different barrels through that process?
No,
I didn't see that. Okay.
You might have read something about, we have some super special products that we release only here at the distillery, which we've done some finishing cask things with.
Okay.
That might be what you've read about. We have had some sherry cask releases where once we pull out a barrel, we age it in a sherry cask for a while. But yeah, when we're actually doing the slow water reduction, it stays in the same barrel the whole time.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then direct to consumer, you've got the straight bourbon, and then you've got a gin also, right? Those are the only two?
Yep, that's right. That's where, and we're focused on that for a while. These are our two flagships. We have a lot of other stuff in barrel that's aging right now. We have a bunch of 100% rye that'll be coming. We also have done a blue corn bourbon. We've done a Jimmy red corn bourbon. We have a few other kind of fun things that are sitting and aging, but for now we're really focused on our flagship product that we just released, which is the Musician, what we call it here.
Well, you're in Austin. I mean, you got to do something fun, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's like, I mean, that's the city. So yeah, I thought it was a little, I guess not if you think about Austin and the city, but just the music ties and roots to Austin, right? So Joplin, Stevie Ray. I mean, you can just keep Willie Nelson, right? I mean, you can just kind of keep running down the list of folks. So, I thought it was interesting the way the kind of the story and the write up on the back of the bottle is, it's kind of music in a glass, right? Kind of all blending and melding together, and then calling this the Musician. So what's the picture? The lady on the front, you've got a bird kind of flying by and she's playing her hair. What's the take on that?
So when we went through kind of a rebranding of the company this past year, because it had released products before, like some white whiskeys and a bourbon, a 1-year-old bourbon under different branding. I've been here for about a year and a half. So a big part of my focus with the company was redoing all of the branding for the company and kind of waiting until we got to the 2+-year-old bourbon to really release that to the masses. And with the rebranding, we really felt like, Austin is such a great, iconic city that why not really try and tie in the Austin personality with this release? So what we ended up doing was we found a local artist named Mark Burkhart, who is he's actually relatively famous. He's done other spirits labels in the past. He did Peat Monster for Compass Box. If you guys know that, this crazy monster on it, same guy. But he lives here in Austin, and he's become a friend of the brand. And he painted this on the front, which we, in choosing like what really represents Austin the most, music was the obvious first step. Like you just said, all the iconic musicians that are here. There's such a deep history here. We call it the live music city capital of the world. So we wanted to do really expressed creativity in finding a local artist to do a painting that he felt like was representative of the city and really celebrated the music scene here. So we knew this was going to be a little bit different than a lot of the other bourbon labels you see there. I mean, this on the shelf just stands out quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's very unique in the sense that it's, to your point, I mean, when you go down, you can see a lot of similarities and you can get lost in the shelf. This one definitely doesn't get lost in the shelf.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to do something we feel like was true to the city. So that was the reasoning behind the branding and why we worked with a local artist. And Mark is going to continue to do labels for us. We'll keep releasing. We're about to rebrand the gin actually in January. It'll be going in the same bottle, same label framework, different painting that represents an archetype of Austin. So that's where we're moving going forward.
Nice. Yeah, that's I mean, I keep thinking, I don't know that Dale Watson really represents gin. But the next bourbon release, I'd love to see a Dale Watson image on. I mean, just such an iconic figure in Austin, right? Yeah. I mean, any time that I've ever been to Austin, it's one of those things. It's like I don't have to go to Franklin Barbecue every time. That one time in the line's enough for me. But I will go see Dale at least one time on a trip to Austin. That's a can't miss for me, man.
I'll hit him up, or if you know him better yet, you reach out and we'll talk.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. Well, we'll send him. We'll definitely send him a clip out. See what we got. So let's get back into this bourbon. We're talking fun stuff. So this is, I mean, for a 2-year.
It's good. It's really
plus,
good.
I mean, this is like, I mean, you said it best, right? I mean, if you were blind tasting this stuff, I mean, you would have no idea. You wouldn't put a 2-year age statement on it for sure. So, I mean, you guys were definitely patient in the right sense of you put out a good bottle.
Yeah.
But I'm getting, it's like banana. I mean, it's everything you would think of, right? And it's, most people might be thinking, well, what do you mean Texas straight bourbon whiskey? And it's like, well, it doesn't have to come from Kentucky to be straight bourbon, right? It's got to be 51% corn. It's got to be a new oak barrel, and then after that, we're pretty much good, right? So yeah,
it's funny how you still. I feel like all the Kentucky distilleries are telling people on tours that if it's not from Kentucky, it's not real bourbon.
Well, if it's not from Kentucky, it's not Kentucky bourbon, but it doesn't mean that it's not good bourbon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I mean, we hear from consumers like, you can't call that bourbon.
Yeah.
Yes, we can. It's on the bottle.
Yeah. PSA. That's an old wives' tale, man. That is not true.
But we feel like, I mean, Texas as a category is really, it's becoming its own thing here. There's a lot of great distilleries here in Texas, craft distilleries that have been around for a while. I think people are starting to really recognize that Texas has its own scene, especially from other distilleries that are sourcing grain grown here. Like I mentioned, it's corn that is Texas corn. It has a certain flavor profile. We really feel like people are starting to understand that nationally, like Texas is a heavy hitter in the whiskey space. And we hope that this bottle, I mean, reflects that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. And then didn't the, what is it, like the Texas Whiskey Association? There's a name, I'm getting it wrong, but and I think that is recently.
Yeah, you see on the back here, the little sticker that says Certified Texas Whiskey here.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's an emblem of the Texas Whiskey Trail, the Texas Whiskey Association. You can become certified. There's parameters, you have to meet, obviously, to be certified as a Texas whiskey. And so the scene here in Texas has really been all of the distillers kind of coming together to create a community to help elevate Texas. It's a really wonderful thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I was noticing you've got a foundation you support there. I think it's for restaurant employees or workers that you're contributing to.
So if you've seen on our website, on our homepage, there is probably HAM. It's a Health Alliance for Austin Musicians.
Musicians, sorry, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, for hospitality workers as well, but hospitality workers and musicians have been some of the most impacted industries in the U.S. here when it comes to COVID. They haven't gotten the bailouts that a lot of the other industries that have been hard hit have. And so the Health Alliance for Austin Musicians actually is a nonprofit working to provide health insurance to Austin musicians. So we've been proactively promoting that. We've been actually doing monthly concerts with social distancing at the distillery for the last 3 months to help raise money for ham and help kind of bring awareness to the situation.
Yeah, nice. So where are you guys located at? I guess I could look on a map, but it's more fun if you tell me. Where's where are you at? Like where are you located?
So Austin is pretty much divided in half by a river, which is often called Ladybird Lake.
Yep.
So that runs east to west. It kind of cuts the north and south parts of Austin apart, and it's very like a north-south sort of city. The traffic here is so bad, and it's so hard to get across that you're either on the south or you're in the north. North is where most of downtown is, but south is where a lot of the real development is happening. We're south of the city. So we're on South Congress, which is one of the major streets running south, about 5 miles south of the river, south of downtown, in a developing area there. We're in a kind of industrial compound there's us, there's a brewery, there's a sake distillery, believe it or not.
Wow.
There's a company called Austin Cocktails. There's a beer bar and coffee shop there. And there's a hard seltzer company as well. So we're kind of like Alcohol Row on South Austin. There.
Oh yeah, I've stumbled by your place before. I see you.
Oh boy.
Several years ago, yeah.
The balance of this bourbon though is fantastic. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like Cal mentioned earlier, it's really not too sweet. I think that's an important distinction, and we're very intentional with our mash bills here that we want to find that balance. And so that's why it's a high rye. Like I mentioned, the white corn, a little bit sweeter than you get out a lot of the yellow corn. And so we deliberately wanted to do a high rye so that spice helped balance out some of that sweetness. And we feel like it's a really, really well balanced. I mean, it's not a terribly fruity bourbon, but it has fruit characteristics. It's not sweet, but it has sweetness. It's a really well balanced. It's honestly, I don't think this is a slight, but it's meant to be a day drinker. I mean, it's $39.99 on the shelf.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly high quality whiskey for that price point and what you're going to get from a lot of the other craft providers.
So you mentioned, it's not meant to be citrusy or sweet. I think that I think it starts to, or it borders on the line of that, kind of the savory sweetness, right? So I'm getting, I'm getting a lot of banana in this thing, but I'm getting more like dried or dehydrated banana more so than, like a fresh ripe banana.
Yeah.
I'm getting, almost kind of some salted caramel in this thing a little bit. And that's kind of the sweetness, but again, it's definitely got some layers in it that it's just not overpoweringly sweet. Where if you're, hey, bourbon's not really my thing because it's, I don't like that sweet profile. I may be more of a whiskey guy. I mean, the rye definitely backs that up, and it's I think 98.4 proof. So
yeah,
it's so it's got enough alcohol there, but again, there's nothing that makes me pull away from the glass or that makes me want to reach for something to chase this back with. I mean, it's got a nice oily mouth coat on it. I think the finish just kind of keeps building up for me. That's where I really get most of that rye is on the finish, and you kind of sit here. So, I mean, I would say it's a medium long finish here, and that rye just kind of keeps and it actually gets kind of spearminty on me the longer I kind of let it sit in my mouth.
Yeah, I think those are all great notes. The weight of it is, I think, one big piece that you just mentioned. It's the viscosity. I think it has something to do with our still, actually. So we have a custom made column still from Forsyths, which is in Scotland. This is designed specifically for us. It's a 42-foot tall column still. As far as I know, it's the only column still from Forsyths in North America. And there's something really unique about what it provides for us, both with this whiskey and the gin, is just a level of like weight and viscosity there that's super interesting to me. It's different than any other brand I've worked with before or had. And yeah, I think it's a big part of what contributes to it drinking so boldly for it being even, only 2+ year old.
Yeah, but I'm definitely pulling out some of the oak, getting kind of a little bit of a peanutty, maybe like roasted peanut kind of on the back end there. Again, kind of hitting with that salt. Even though it's not salty, I guess I'm saying more savory, that I am. It's kind of pulling it away from that sweetness and sending me more, more down that rye path. And are you using malted barley in this, I guess?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 5% of this is all malted barley.
Yeah, that's a damn good bottle. I just got to get it online. So, cause I don't think this one's going to be around too long.
There's more that came from.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking so if I'm not drinking bourbon, I'm drinking, more than likely I'm drinking a Negroni. I'd love to get on and whip some Negronis up with you.
Let's do that. That's probably my favorite cocktail, depending on the day. Period.
Yeah.
Gin is great for Negronis. The unique thing about our gin, people ask, why, as a whiskey distillery, do you make a gin? Most gins are made with a base of neutral grain spirit. People are essentially buying pure ethanol. Almost every distillery does this. You bring it in, you proof it down. It's essentially vodka at that point. You add your botanicals, you redistill it, and that's how you make gin. For us, we can't make vodka ourselves, or still actually won't go high in proof enough because it's designed for whiskey. But we make our base distillate on that still out of 60% rye, 40% corn. And so when we use that base, then mixing in the botanicals and doing another distillation run, you keep that rye flavor there. And the level of viscosity that we mentioned before is still there too. So you get rye on the nose, and it's very weighty and deep. And then the botanicals are made to work with that rye spice that you get there.
Sure.
It's a unique gin, but it's not like, you're not like, whoa, when you smell it or taste it, this is the weirdest gin I've ever had.
Yeah.
It's a subtle difference.
But you can get something out of it that's like, didn't get that in the last 3 gins that I had.
Yeah. It's like, there's something a little bit different here. And you can't quite put your finger on it. And then when you tell the story about the rye base and all that, it clicks.
Yeah.
It's a whiskey drinker's gin.
Well, this is, I can't believe it. You had a custom still built so you wouldn't have to make vodka. I love it. Like, why make vodka? What's the point?
Yeah. People ask us sometimes, like, when are you guys going to release a vodka? And it's like, well, first of all, we're in the same city as Tito's and Deep Eddy, so why the hell would we ever?
Good point.
Good point.
Even if we wanted to, we couldn't.
Good point.
That's a good point.
Guys, the sun is setting here. Let me click my outdoor lights on real quick. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no worries, man.
I'm fading. All right.
We'll be here drinking.
Have you seen the still, Cal, on their website?
Yeah, it's on their website. Yeah,
42 feet.
I know, it's really cool, right?
How'd they fit that thing inside?
I know. in pieces, I'm sure. But yeah, the still is awesome. It looks So if you're for those of you that are watching and or listening at a later date, you should definitely go to stillaustin.com and check it out. And so, Brandon, you guys, I did see you are doing distillery tours. It looks like in some kind of a controlled, in a socially safe manner. So, best to call in and check with you guys to see what the schedule and that stuff is, right?
Yeah, they can currently be booked online. We're just doing it with like single groups only. So we don't mix groups of folks that are doing it. We want to keep it to one group at a time.
Yeah.
And we're doing less of them than we did before. But the tasting room is open right now, just the patio. We're still seating people out there with cocktails, and we actually have a new food truck coming in the next couple weeks. So we're trucking along. We were closed for about 4 months earlier this year, but we've been able to reopen, and we've been fortunate, actually. This year's been better to us than it has for a lot of other distilleries in the industry.
Yeah. So did you all go down the whole sanitizer road and all that stuff, or you just kind of backed away, or what that look like for y'all?
No, yeah, we started off, actually, just to speak frankly about it, we started off in the PR angle of it, like, let's make a little bit of hand sanitizer and say we did. And we ended up getting a contract from a huge medical company here in Texas, and we made a ton of hand sanitizer.
That's the interesting thing of folks that we've talked with, that, that's like, we kind of went down that road for whatever reason you did it, right? If it was necessity, if it was humanitarian, for whatever reason, you went down the road, and it was like, hey, yeah, we'll do this and it'll be fine. It'll keep some activity going. And then it's like, holy shit. Like these people were serious. They really want hand sanitizer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I know. And a lot of distilleries actually started using their stills to make hand sanitizer, which we did not do.
Okay.
Like I said, we can't make neutral grain spirit.
All right.
So we wouldn't have been able to do it anyway if we wanted to, but it would have been tremendously expensive to do it that way as well. So thankfully, we were able to keep our distillery operating this whole year. We never shut down the still. We kept making bourbon. We laid down a lot of bourbon this year, and we were able to make hand sanitizer on the side, which is kind of what kept the rest of it all afloat for a little while.
Yeah, nice. So let's see. So 2022, 2023 is going to be a hell of a year for Still Austin, huh?
Hell yeah. Special COVID memorial release bourbon or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, why not? I don't know. At that point, do you even want to bring it up? So
probably not. At the very least, we'll have a lot of bourbon made from that year that other people won't.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So what's, I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, I know why I haven't had it again, because it's not on my shelf and I can't get it. I'm definitely going to go down that road. So I'm interested to know about some of the, so you're talking about you do some distillery only expressions.
Yeah, when I hate to tease your audience with this, I almost shouldn't have brought it up, but we have
I'm thinking this is a great reason to go to Austin.
That's true. That's a good point.
There you go. If you want to come visit us, you can get it. But otherwise, you're shit out of luck.
It happens.
Can I swear on the podcast?
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
It's your show. You can't embarrass us.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've tried.
Yeah, I on a podcast like a month ago or so, I mentioned it a little too freely, and I got hit up by a lot of people that were like, "Hey, we want some of that," and I was like, "Sorry."
Yeah, Delta.com, right? So
yeah, we have what's called a Distillery Reserve series, where we take kind of select barrels. We do a lot of finishing cask stuff, and we release a limited amount here at the distillery. We had one last month called Monster Mash, which our distiller like 2.5 years ago had. So if you order smaller quantities of grain, they come in something called super sacks, which is basically a sack of grain on a pallet. And he had 5 super sacks of different grain that were all running low and was like, what do I do with this? Fuck it. I'm just going to blend them all together, mash them, turn it into whiskey and put it in some barrels. And turns out it was really, really good.
But just like a wild ass guess, he's like, we'll just see what happens.
Well, and we encourage him to do that. Like, if you're going to fill 3 or 5 barrels with some random stuff, like why not just mess around with it? He's making 50 or 60 barrels of this, high rye bourbon every week. He needs a break.
Yeah. Well, and shit. I mean, if nothing else, you make it's a Boulevardier or it's a Manhattan. I mean, you can put it to you. Somebody was talking the other day, and they're like, "Well, if we screw it up, we'll just have to pour it out." And I'm like, "Whoa, you have my address. Don't pour shit out."
100%. Yeah, you can always put it in a cocktail. But no, so we had this 5 grain bourbon. Had aged for a while and turned out to be really good. So we ended up pulling just 2 barrels. We called it Monster Mash, released it around Halloween, had a local artist literally draw a monster that was on the label. We got real silly with it. Sold out in one day here at the distillery. We had about 450 bottles of it. We sold for $100 a piece. Gone in one day. We have another one coming up. This actually hasn't been publicly announced. So you guys are some of the first to get this information. We have another one coming up in just a few weeks. 100% rye, finished in a sherry cask.
Oh, wow.
For 8 months. And we're going to have about 600 bottles of that. And we're actually I found a local artist. So if you can imagine, I had the same label framework done, but with no artwork here. So it was just blank.
All right.
Found a local artist who is hand painting every single label.
Oh, man. Wow.
Really?
Yeah. She's been working on it for the past few days, actually.
You're probably going to get a message after this, just as soon. That's really awesome, man. I mean, that's cool. But you're in such a great city to be able to do something like that. I mean, number one, it's like, it's an artist city anyway, right? So to be able to allow the head distiller just to kind of, hey, just make some shit up and see what works.
Yeah.
And then you can turn around and hand the bottle to, again, a local artist and say, hey, make it, here's what it is. Give me what's your expression of this pulls back. I mean, that's so friggin' awesome that you guys get to do that. And you're in the city again that you're in. I mean, that's what you guys kind of live and breathe and do.
Yeah, and with the Distillery Reserve series, like we have the opportunity to just get weird with it. Like we only will release super high quality products. Obviously, we pick special barrels to age, but with the labels, like why not just get weird with it? This is Austin after all.
Keep it weird, man.
Celebrate local artists, and it's also a good opportunity for us to test products, see how it works, and potentially make more. Like we've been making more of that Monster Mash bill this year.
Yeah, so that's where I was. That was my next question is, I mean, is the intent that that's kind of your R&D allotment to go, okay, where do we get to next, right?
Yeah, 100%. So we'll always make a lot of the high rye bourbon, what we're tasting right now.
Yeah.
When I first started at Still Austin last year, which was about a year and a half ago, they had about 9 barrels of 100% rye laid down, and I tasted it, and I was like, guys, this is awesome. Why haven't you made more of this? They're like, I don't know. We're just like messing around. And I'm like, let's make more right now. So about a year and a half ago, we literally spent about 2 months just blowing through more 100% rye. And we're psyched to release that, in 2022. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, the cool thing about using a heavy rye mash bill is, less time, and it doesn't require as much time in the barrel to produce a really good product. Now, again, you've got some time that you can, put some barrels back, and, you're going to have some different expressions of things. But I mean, I totally dig where you guys are at as far as with your mash bill and kind of how you're going and laying it out. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like you got to you at least have to pay the bills. Right. And more importantly, you need to make some money. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But our philosophy now is we're only going to release product when it's ready. That's why we feel good about this product where it's at. The oldest product we actually have aging right now is wheated bourbon. We made a lot of that 3+ years ago, and it's tasting really good, but it's not ready yet. That's why we did not release that yet. So at some point we might have a bottled and bond wheated bourbon that's going to be excellent. We will only release that when it's actually ready.
God, patience sucks, doesn't it?
Cal, he's teasing you tonight, buddy. I'll tell you what, he's not gonna be able to go to sleep tonight. He's not gonna be able to go to sleep. He's just gonna be all excited, and
Well, yeah, let's we'll talk after.
Yeah, well, here's the cool thing, right? So, and we do have some followers and listeners in Texas. Actually, we got to get Kessler. Are you a golfer? Are you a golfer at all?
What you probably hear all the time is yes, but I'm not great.
Okay, well, and neither's Dan. So you guys are in the same boat. Perfect.
Oh, good.
It's
perfect,
fine. Yeah, I'm not good either. So we got to get you hooked up with Kessler Karen. I don't want to say I'm going to go, and it doesn't matter if you like him or not. Kessler's a great dude, and whatever people's opinion of his, he's the caddy for Patrick Reed.
Oh, cool.
So Kessler's a friend of the show. He's a Texas guy.
Big bourbon guy.
Where is he here in Texas?
Houston.
He's Houston. Yeah, that big bourbon guy.
Oh yeah.
But that's
literally give me his name and I'll send him some stuff.
Yeah, he would. Definitely be a good contact. Not that you guys need. You're in the city of. People are just probably walking by. I mean, and you can just start. I mean, I could just keep going down the list of musicians and such that are there. So.
And we're actually hiring somebody to run the the Houston market right now.
Oh, cool. Are you really?
We're going after it. I'm hiring 4 salespeople here in Texas, literally right now.
Yeah,
we're going for it.
So receptivity in the market is, it's good. It's like it.
I can't tell you how good it's been.
Well, we can guess that's how good it was. This stuff was good,
Like I said, this company has always made really high quality products. Just the branding and the marketing hasn't always been there. So we released white whiskey 3 years ago, unaged, like some flavored ones. We released a little bit of 1-year-old bourbon last year. This is like, let's do away with all those other products, rebrand the company, really focus on the Austin personality, and only release stuff when it's ready.
Yeah.
And this was the company was well thought of here in Texas prior to this release, but these last 3 months have been insane.
Yeah, so I was talking with a guy, just I'll say a friend, but a friend in the industry, if you will, and
Yeah.
he was so he asked the question, and we have a lot of different folks on the show. I would say most of the folks on the show are they're either craft distilleries or breweries or wineries, from that matter, and then maybe we have someone on the show that works for like a one of the
Big guys.
the big seven or whatever, but they used to work for them and now they've kind of branched out on their own, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the guy's question to me was, hey, with the folks that you're talking to, so folks like yourself, is there a place for craft distilleries today if I wanted to start one up? And I know you guys have been up and operational since 2015. I've only recently, and again, I traveled to, or in the past, right, prior to 2020, I've traveled to Texas somewhat regularly, 4 or 5 times a year, but I didn't necessarily see that your brand out. And I think that's kind of where you were going is, hey, we were making some good juice. Maybe some of it could have been better, but then the whole marketing and the approach to market was wrong. So just, I mean, if you got some comments to share about what does craft distilling look like for the future, with everything that's kind of happening.
I'm happy to offer a public service announcement to all of your listeners here. No, seriously, and I'm taking off my Still Austin hat and putting on my industry hat. Like I've worked in spirits, I've worked in wine, I've worked in hard cider, I've worked in beer. Like my whole career has been alcohol. Do not open a craft distillery. Think about it this way. In all of those other alcohol industries I just mentioned, you have an obvious point of differentiation in quality, why you deserve the price point, those sorts of things against the big guys. Think about when, what was the first IPA with Sierra Nevada, right? I think that came out 40 years ago.
Sure.
Believe it or not, so long ago. But when Sierra Nevada started going out with that IPA and tasting people on it, going to accounts saying, buy my product, people hadn't tasted anything like that. It was way different than your Miller Lite, your Bud Light, whatever people were used to drinking. And you could talk about why the quality was better. This is why it tastes like this. This is why it's this style of beer. This is why you should support us. It's not just because we're local. It's because we're using better quality ingredients. We don't use rice. We don't use corn syrup, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And that still exists for the large part, right? Like in craft breweries can go out there and say, this is why we're better. And the only problem with craft brewing right now is the category is just so saturated.
Right.
But it's still different than the big guys out there. And the same thing exists with wine. The same thing exists with hard cider. In distilling, the problem is what the big guys make is great. I can go buy a bottle of Elijah Craig small batch, 94 proof, for, I think here in Texas, it's like almost just under $30.
$25-$30, yeah.
And it's awesome, right? It's really good. So that's, especially if people want to open a whiskey distillery, like that's what you're up against, and it's really tough. And I think a lot of people don't think about it like that. And what a lot of craft distilleries are stuck with, especially if you're undercapitalized, is you're hitting the local thing. You're just telling people, buy us because we're local, we're in your community, we're doing stuff in your community. And that's awesome. If distilleries have the right expectations going into it of like, we've only spent X money, our growth projections are moderate, like all these things, and we want to be about this community, then awesome, like do that. But you're going to struggle with creating something that's as of quality as a lot of, what else is out there. And your price point's going to have to be pretty high. Yeah. And that's the case for almost everybody. Mm-hmm. It's a really, really tough industry to get in, especially because the capital required to actually get up and running is higher than a craft brewery, maybe not a winery, but a cidery, whatever,
Well, but the timing thing too, right? I mean, you're waiting at least 2 years on this thing. I mean, it's not even 2 years. I mean, that's 2 years from the time it goes into the barrel, right? So,
so that's why you see a lot of distilleries, and you can't blame them, will start by sourcing product.
Right.
And you hear them say, okay, we're going to go buy a bunch of barrels from MGP and we'll release their product. Even if we're upfront about it, we'll say, okay, this is not our product. We didn't make this, but we're buying quality stuff. Please still support us because we're local. And eventually we'll transition to our own stuff. The problem there, one, can you make stuff that's better than what you're buying from MGP? And the answer is almost always no. The second thing is, can you actually make it for cheaper than that barrel you just bought?
Right.
The answer is almost always no. So
No.
your cost of goods goes way up and their quality goes down.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you were asking for this as
No, that's a
No,
great
no, no.
conversation. I love this conversation. Yeah.
but like this is the industry. It's really, really tough.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, and I think that's why the guy was asking the question, and that was he wasn't looking for a yes or no answer. He was looking more for the answer that you gave, right?
Yeah.
It's like what are the complexities that me as a layperson that I walk up and I've got a credit card and I'm and I can drink a lot, but I don't have to worry about anything else that happens other than get it in the glass, right? So and that was where how do you kind of tie in, but and I guess I had maybe another layer to that is where so if you think about some of the the big sevens, right? You're always there's a story, right? And there's some lineage and history there, which and you mentioned it, like how do you as a craft distillery, how do you become top of mind? And I think it's exactly what you guys are doing of using local artists, local imagery, local product. And again, right, you're starting at your core at the base of, well, why is it interesting and good for me? It's because, well, I am Austin or I am Texas.
Right.
And
Right.
then how do you branch out from there? And I mean, again, I think it's things like this, right? Where we're saying, shit, this is actually good. And if you have problems like I do, clearly I'm not an alcoholic. I've got way too much liquor behind me. But it's, it's, and to your point, I mean, yeah, the Elijah Craigs are great, but you know how many times I've had Elijah Craig? And it's, it's for me, it's that kind of it's the, how do I drink something different, but that's equally good? And are there similarities? Yes. I mean, I could go through some similarities in this and some other things that I've drank, but it's different. It's unique in a sense that I can't get it. I mean, again, there's 2 or 3 people, 4 or 5 people that have actually written as we've been talking, like, hey, where'd you say you could get those at? Right. So, go to stillaustin.com and it says where to buy, and it's going to get shipped to your house and you're going to get an experience that you can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, well, and I'm lucky that I can say that. I mean, I truly believe that this product is competitive with what the big guys are doing. It's really, I mean, it's only between 2 and 3 years old. These barrels we blended into this, but we talked about the slow water reduction techniques we do. We talked about the local sourcing of the grain. We talked about the Texas climate and what it's doing to the product. Like, this is excellent, and I'm lucky to say that we can go out there and say, just taste this, and that's enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're lucky in that respect for sure. But it's the rest of the industry is tougher than people realize as well. Something I hear all the time is, why aren't you sold at my favorite liquor store down the road?
Yep.
As if I think they just expect when you release a product, said liquor store just brings
Come
it
pick
in.
it up.
And the answer is usually, could you go ask them to bring it in, please? Like,
Right.
Exactly.
I need you to request this. That way they're talking to the distributor that's going to actually bring that to them. That way they like this multi-tiered system. Yeah, it'll be it'll be nice one day when there's some adjustments made to that, which it's inevitable at some point. But
yeah, well, we have a whole sales and marketing apparatus of the company trying to get to your liquor store down the street.
Right.
We're trying.
For sure.
And it's, you deal with distributors that carry 15,000 different SKUs in their inventory. Trying to get share of mind and get attention there is super tough.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things. I mean, as much as things have changed with, and I I adopted to online shopping, well before this pandemic thing. Like if I don't have to go to the store, man, there is no reason for me to ever go pick something up, put it in my car, drive home, and then bring it in. Right, somebody can do that for me.
Yep.
And but it is kind of funny, and I think it's that experience that you get. is that, that's kind of like well, as you can see, right? It's a hobby. So actually, and I'm friends with the dudes that own the liquor store across the street from me, so,
Yeah.
so that's one of the things that I do get some booze shipped in. It's stuff like, Still Austin that I can't get at the liquor store. But for the most part, I mean, I like going and I like looking and I like we talked about the label of this thing, and it's like, it's fun. I like to stand there and look and see, and it's like, shit, I'm looking through those labels and I'm looking for a particular expression, but I can't see it because every damn label looks the same. And it's just, it's like do something different, so I don't have to like eyeball these things 3 times to pick something out, right? Which you guys absolutely did. I mean, I'm going to be able to look at this and I'm going to be able to see the female musician, or I'm going to be able to see the monster, or I'm going to be able to see Dale Watson or whoever it is, right? But I'm going to know exactly what I'm looking for. And, and that's the expression that's going to find me. And I mean, it's art on the shelf.
Yeah. Art on the bottle, art in the bottle. So we keep
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, think about how much more difficult it is to get share of mind even on the online platform. Like, you go on Drizzly, you're scrolling, you're seeing 2, 3, 4 bottles at a time. You get sick of it, you pick one, you order it. It's way different than going to like your local store, scanning the whole shelf.
Right.
You just like look around and see 200 different bottles all at the same time. It's a totally different ball game. So like, what we're worried about is as people start buying more and more online, is how, as a craft supplier, do you really keep that share of mind with people or get front and center, because you can't rely on people just going to Drizzly and being like, I want Still Austin.
Right.
You want people to see that label and get excited about it.
Well, and the other side, you depend on likes and reviews, but again, that's it's easy to get a review if I didn't care for whatever you had, but if I did like it, there's probably, I'm the least likely to go in and tell you that I loved it versus if I didn't, that I really hated it, right? So now you're sorting, and I mean that's definitely a challenge in the marketplace. So what's do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, what do you do to combat that? I mean, what's the
Oh, well, we started a whiskey club called the Order of Nancy, actually, here in Texas. We intentionally were going to cap it at 300 people. And before we could shut off the invites, we were at 600 people.
Oh, wow.
So we ended up actually doubling the size of the program unintentionally. And we've tasked some of those folks with, hey, can you help us out? Go review our product on Drizzly, on Total Wine's website, like on those sorts of things. Like, it's for us, it's about building the right audience of like loyal fans that's willing to like help us out in that respect. And that's what we do. We're trying to really intentionally engage with our audience as much as we can. And that's about as best we can do right now. I mean, we have a sales team that's out there pushing our product. We have a marketing team that's trying to build awareness for us, and that's about it. It's it's talked about in the industry as sales gets you on the shelf and marketing gets you bought off the shelf.
Right.
And that's the dynamic.
Yeah.
So we've got a concert coming up on the 28th, the Peterson Brothers. Is
part
that
of our monthly concert series in partnership with Austin Monthly here, which is a big media organization here. So they're helping us like source local acts that are doing shows here. We had Shaky Graves here last month, which is
nice,
pretty well known dude, and also like the chillest guy you would ever meet in your life.
Really?
We ended up arguing about board games for like an hour after his show.
Perfect.
Is that because you beat him or he beat you, or?
No, he had a bumper sticker on the back of his truck for this board game called Settlers of Catan, which I have opinions about, and he apparently has strong opinions about it too. So
I don't know that one. So yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it was Shaky Graves, a huge nerd. Who would have expected?
Very cool.
But we got the Peterson Brothers playing this month. We have another act booked for next month. That's concerts we're doing at the distillery that we're selling some tables for social distancing. You can buy a table, have that table with you and your group. Please wear a mask when you're not at your table, that sort of thing. But this is also live broadcast during the show.
Oh, cool.
So Austin Monthly is blasting out through all their channels on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, all that. we're trying to engage the community through like celebrating music and the musician and
Yeah, sure.
all that. So yeah.
Well, they probably got a lot of free time on their hands for sure, right?
That was Shaky's first show in 8 months, I think.
Really?
He had played.
Wow.
Well, just people aren't, venues are closed right now. There aren't any venues operating here in Austin right now. And we're in a unique situation where we're able to live broadcast it, and we have an audience for that. So
That's cool.
Well, you've got a big space. I mean, you've got a big space, right? I mean, and it's pretty easy to keep people kind of.
The space on site is about 60 people. We're able to seat at those like socially distanced tables. And then we've had thousands of people watching these shows as we're live broadcasting them. So it's really fun.
Very cool.
Awesome. So in regular times, drop a couple of unknowns, some diamonds in the rough in Austin that we need to check out when we get back there.
Well, diamonds in the rough is one thing. I could first call out like the obvious, like Barton Springs. If nobody's ever been to that when they're here in Austin, that's a must do. You'll see that at the top of every like things you must do when you visit Austin. It's 100% true. Please go to Barton Springs. It's a live spring that's here in town that you can go, and they've like kind of cemented a walkway along the side of it. But other than that, it's totally natural, and you can camp out on the yard there and go swim in it. And it's always about 70 degrees.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
The temperature's the same no matter the time of year. It's gorgeous. That's a highlight for sure. I think the other major, I mean, I'm super food oriented in how I approach cities. When I visit a new city, I just want to eat.
Well, you're in a great one.
Yeah, no, it's great for that. But the taco trucks here are just you have to go through. I mean, this is, I don't know that I've heard it described as this, but I'm about to describe it as it. This is like the food truck capital of the United States. They're everywhere.
You know what I would say is I would put, and I'm sure there's probably a measurement out there, but you got Seattle, Washington, and Portland, Oregon, and Austin, Texas, and it's got to be one of those three. And we'll go with Austin since we're talking to Still Austin, but it has to be one of the three, man. It is a ridiculous. It's just crazy at the amount of food trucks you see at all three of those cities.
Yeah, and I've been to those other ones relatively recently, and I'm comfortable declaring us the winner here.
I'll drink to that.
As a homer, yeah. Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Which, by the way, I haven't called you out yet, Dan. But do you have a bottle of our stuff?
He sent me.
I sent him a sample.
A sample, yeah.
Good. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yep, absolutely.
I'd feel bad if you hadn't gotten to try.
No. That's why I was tasting with you guys earlier. It's fantastic.
Usually I don't send him anything, and I'm like, didn't show up. I don't know what happened.
No, I got this one.
Didn't show up.
Well, so the fun thing here is like every single bar that you go to, if they don't have their own food program, there's a food truck in the back.
Yeah.
It's not their food truck. It's a partnership.
Right.
Like, so there's all these like side hustles of people who own a food truck that are operating in the back. And it's everything from like Vietnamese food to Tex-Mex to barbecue, all over the place. Like, that's the way to go, is find those hidden food truck spots is what you need to do when you come here to Austin.
And they're making some like really complex stuff out of there. I mean, because isn't there like a really slick barbecue food truck that's around the corner?
Micklethwaite.
Yeah.
Micklethwaite is the one that's I think on like 11th Street or something. Shout out to them. They deserve some kudos. It's a food truck, but it's widely claimed as one of like the top 5 barbecue places in Texas.
Yeah.
It's really damn good.
And that's another one of those places where, like, if you're starving, get a snack, because you could be waiting in line for hours.
Yeah, it's nothing is as bad as oh my God, the place you mentioned earlier. Franklin Barbecue. Yes. I don't know if any food is worth waiting like 2.5 hours for. Their barbecue is excellent. I did it once, and it's probably the best barbecue I've ever had, but I'm not going to wait in that line again.
No, never. But here's the deal. Here's the deal with Franklin's. You take whoever you're with, chairs or no chairs, up to you, but you take a cooler of beer,
Mm-hmm.
And number one, you get there early, eat a good eat a decent breakfast, get there early, take a cooler of beer, and now with our phones, I mean, shit, you go when there's a game on or something or whatever, and
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
and
see, I did not know any of this when I went to Franklin was before I moved here, and I was just like, I'm going to go to Franklin, and didn't know anything, and just showed up, and they were like, okay, it's going to be 2.5 hours, and I was just like, I don't have anything else going on, so I might as well wait. But I had no chairs, I had my phone, but I didn't bring any beer with me, and I was like, I guess I'm doing this. But then at noon, when the place actually opens, they tell you can go in and buy beer. But I was like by myself, so like I can't get out of the line.
Now I'm gonna lose my spot.
So I had to like befriend the person next to me and be like, "Hey, I'd really like to go buy some beer. Can you please hold my spot? I'll buy you a beer if you want one."
Right.
And then like run inside, buy the beer, come back outside. But yeah, it ended up being worth it. But
Yeah. Cool. So are you originally from Austin?
No. I've only lived here for a year and a half. I'm not from Texas. I grew up in Michigan.
Okay.
And lived in Chicago for a while, but prior to moving here, I'd only lived in Michigan and Chicago.
God, this has got to be a hell of a break for you. I mean, because they're getting pounded with like sleet and snow and shitty degrees right now,
and coronavirus
and corona. Yeah, you're sitting outside in short sleeves and enjoying life in almost Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's summer here is brutal. Wait, where? I don't even know where you guys are. Where do you live?
So I'm in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Both. I've been to Atlanta a few times. Huge city. Your airport's insane.
It is. Yeah.
Your city is sprawling. But yeah, I haven't been to Raleigh. But yeah, it's really hot here in the summer.
Oh yeah.
Like probably similar in Atlanta, I guess, but we have about 3 months of 100 degrees on average.
Yeah,
and
we usually
you don't want to go outside, and that, as somebody who's from Michigan and Chicago, sucks. But now,
you're getting ready to reap the rewards, my friend. So the next 3 to 4 months.
I have family members in Michigan and Illinois, both got texts today of snow.
Oh, wow.
It's, 6:30 at night, and it's 75 degrees outside. I'm feeling pretty good.
And the humidity is kind of down right now, so you're in really good shape. So.
Well, and I don't live in Houston. If you live in Houston, the humidity is a huge problem. We're a little bit of ways away from the coast, so we're sitting better here.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
So let's see. So we hit on food trucks.
Barton Springs.
The Continental Club. I guess they're shut down, huh?
Yeah, they are.
The little Longhorn Saloon. No more chicken chip bingo, I guess, at this point in time.
That's true, man. You too know Austin.
Oh, I love Austin, dude. That is literally one of my favorite cities. I mean, if I were going to move, and I don't have any reason to move from Atlanta, but if I were picking out like, hey, you could move anywhere, I don't know that it would be Austin, but it would definitely be in my top 5. I mean, it is one of the most fun places. The bad side is everybody has caught on to Austin in probably the past like 7 to 10 years. And it is just like it's one of those places. Like if you're going to Austin, you've got to be in like whatever your little quadrant is. Like you got to get there, and you better pick the shit that you like that's right around you, because if you've got to travel, to your point, if you got to go to north side or south side or vice versa, like it is just a major pain in the ass.
Traffic is rough. We've also, this year it seems that half of San Francisco has moved here from what I can tell. They're all abandoning ship and moving here. And LA. In Austin, people in Austin already hate people from California. Let me tell you, when I moved here, they were like, how long have you lived here? And I'm like, oh, just a couple months. And you get like a look then.
Where are you from?
Where are you from? Exactly. And they're like, oh, Michigan. And they're like, oh, okay, you're fine. Which then you ask that person, well, how long have you lived here? And they're like, well, I've lived here for 2 years. And you're like, fuck off, asshole. Like, come on.
Hey, I've lived here for 2 years. I'm a native.
Exactly. So it's silly. I don't know. I mean, we got Elon Musk now here. Tesla's doing a bunch of stuff here. Joe Rogan moved here a couple months ago, which we actually been featured on his podcast.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
look at you.
Yeah, but like without paying for it. It's been nice. We found a back channel and sent him some product, and him and Tom Green drank a half bottle of it like 3 days ago.
No, wait a minute. We didn't know billing you was an option. I'll definitely
It's not. I didn't. I told you we did not pay for it.
That's actually really cool. That's a big deal.
Well, yeah. Come back and talk to me when you get 7 million views in 3 days.
Exactly.
Hey, with people like you, that's what we're working on. No, but yeah, but that's really that's cool, man. So I'm sure you got good. I can't imagine that you got shitty reviews from him. So I mean, that's.
No, we got a clip of Joe Rogan saying, "Oh, we got this Still Austin local stuff here. Let's try it." And he says, "Damn, that's good."
Oh, there you go.
I mean, stock just went up 10%.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, no, it's been, Austin is great. It's going nuts here though. I mean, I moved here, like I said, 1.5 years ago. I'm renting a house here just in the last 6 months. $1 million house just got built next to me here. Neighborhood, half the properties are getting demolished for new houses. Like it's going crazy.
Are you close to you close to the distillery?
About a mile away.
Okay,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So relatively, yeah.
That's nice.
But yeah. When I'm feeling really ambitious, I'll walk there.
Yeah. This is this is one of those this pour. Sorry, I'm bouncing around on you, but I mean, this shit is like it's really good, man. I mean, this is stuff that's definitely got to get another bottle of that, and I definitely got to get connected on one of that other one you mentioned. So
yeah,
100% right.
I definitely said that very quiet. So
for your audience, you absolutely cannot get a sample or bottle of any of the Distillery Reserve series stuff. But we'll talk after this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, stillaustin.com or make a trip to Austin, man. That's what I would say is, I mean, the bourbon is fantastic. The city is fantastic. If you're looking for, and I know things are kind of shaky right now where you should, so we're not encouraging travel. But if you are going to travel, Austin is just one of those places, man. It will definitely leave an impression. If you're a foodie, if you're artsy, if you're into, the city slogan again is keep Austin weird. And it's not weird in like an uncomfortable way. It's weird in a, hey, be yourself, be your own person kind of way. Like what's weird to you may not be weird to somebody else, and they don't really give a shit. Like literally, they don't care.
Yeah, it's really about celebrating the individual, right? Let everybody be who they want to be, and there's no judgment here. And that's honestly what we're trying to go with this bottle rebrand is celebrating creativity here in Austin, really trying to highlight the city in a way that resonates with people elsewhere as well. We're bringing the Austin ethos wherever we go.
Yeah, well, I think you've got a winner for sure. Again, a few folks that had messaged with us prior to coming on were like, what'd you think about it? And I'm like, well, I haven't tried it yet. I'm going to be a nice guest and I'm going to wait. And they're like, oh shit, you got to drink it. It's an awesome pour. And, at the price point, at the years you got in, I can only imagine better stuff is on its way. More time in the barrel with what you've got here is it's only going to kind of build. Even in, like, I'm just looking at this thing kind of roll off the glass. And it is, to your point, the viscosity of this thing that's happening.
Yeah.
You made a hell of a liquor in 2 years, bud.
Yeah. This is our pride and joy right now. And we'll be running with this and pushing it for a long time. And I could not be more proud of it. We got a lot of other fun stuff coming too. In a couple of years, we'll have Bottled and Bond series. We'll have 100% rye, we'll have blue corn bourbon, red corn bourbon, a lot of really good stuff in the horizon. The one thing I didn't really say, we make a lot of whiskey. That's one reason why I took this job and moved here is we are able to make a lot of great whiskey. So we're happy with the reception that we have right now. We're ready to grow.
How many barrels do you think you're sitting on?
Oh, I mean, I know exactly. I don't know if I'll tell you what it is.
A lot?
It's a lot. Our capacity is to make between 5 and 6,000 53-gallon barrels a year.
Okay.
Oh,
Next year we'll probably make about 3 to 4,000. And that's a big brand.
yeah.
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 That's a lot of barrels.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to have a place to put them. You got to have, I mean, patience and time is fine, but you guys are coming up on some year. I mean, you're going to start churning through some barrels just in, timing is kind of hitting where you guys are going to, you're going to need replenishment, which is going to be cool. And I'm sure you're going to hold some of those for some, to your point, if you're going to do a bottle and bond and things like that. I mean, that's, it's going to be fun to watch you guys grow, man, and watch these expressions come out. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. These types of things are super fun. I mean, like I said, it's just been 3 months since we've had this product out, and the reception is amazing. It could not be more thrilling to have people taste it and be excited about it and enjoy the branding and all that. So thanks to you guys.
Thank you.
Makes my job super fun.
No, yeah, thanks to you, man. It's nothing like, again, it's a treat that I didn't have on the shelf that I do now, and I don't know how long it'll make it through the night. I don't know about the weekend, but there's more to be had out there. So yeah, we really appreciate it. So anything else you want to share, Brandon, about Still Austin and anything that's coming up? We appreciate you coming on the show, man.
I don't think I missed anything other than I'd say, I guess, if anybody enjoys gin, we have a rebrand of the gin coming in January. I think I mentioned before. So if you go look at the gin that we have on our website now, all of that branding will shift and reorient around this bottle, this label. The artist is doing a new painting for it. We're pretty excited about it, and we'll really start pushing that once we do the rebrand. So I'd be happy to come back on and make some Negronis with you all.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah.
Sounds like the first date went well. We've already got a second date scheduled.
Yeah, January looks fun. Yeah, that'd be good.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Awesome. Right. Yeah, but hey, thanks for coming on, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Brandon, cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
See ya.
Cheers,
guys.
All right.